I'm doing is removing these 2 screws. So you just pull that one out of there. Just pull these 2 out. So once you've removed these 2 screws, the display will just come up. Pop this box out, and then you just unplug these headlights. These 2 plugins right into the lights. Turn my handlebars a little and just put it up top here. And then there's 2 more screws to remove right here and right here. As soon as you remove those, next 2 we got to remove. If you look down at your clutch cover here, it's not this one here that you have to remove. It's towards the front here. You look right underneath here. Right there, that's the one. And on the other side, same location. It's a bit tighter on this side, just because the exhaust, right? So I kind of get in there with that long extension on this little impact. That way you can reach in there and hold the screw while it's coming out so you don't lose it in the bottom, eh? After you've taken that bolt out at the front here on the clutch cover side of the engine, so the left side, you got to look right under here. Phillips will be the screwdriver you want to use for that. You just loosen that off, and that's that air breather hose. So you just loosen it off, and it'll disconnect from here, and it's actually not very hard to put back in. It's not a stubborn connection by all means. You just loosen this off and it'll pull right out. The first time it was kind of a little sticky, but I just pushed it a little bit like that, and it released right away. And to put it back in, if this is loose enough, it slides right in there good. So yeah, on the clutch cover side, right there. So yeah, it just slides in from the front here. There's a couple of spots where it hooks in, and then at the back here, right close to where the fuel cap is. So when you put it back in, you kind of want to have that same motion going back. You squeeze the front here so that it clips right into where it's supposed to here, and it slides right in. Real good access to the filter here now. Way easier to work on. The worst is the oil plug on the bottom. Well, there's 2 plugs, and there's a panel there. So there's the access panel on the back here on the bottom, which you can see here. The one thing is I recommend is putting a rag or a deflector on the inside here, because when that oil drips down, I forget off which plug. There's 2 plugs there you got to pull. But the oil sometimes makes its way back in here, and it's kind of hard to clean up. So if you can stuff a rag in there ahead of time, then it makes cleanup a bit easier. So yeah, kind of a tight spot, but it's not all so bad. Another thing too is that 2015 I had the reverse chime unplugged. This one here, I'm not a genius when it comes to that much wiring, but I'm sure you could probably figure out or find out which wire to cut off of this, but it goes right into your display. So I gotta do some more research on that and find out. But this is your chime right here. So what I did is I put some dielectric grease right over top of it, and then put a piece of duct tape, and it just about shut it right up. You can still hear it, but it's not something that'll wake up the neighbors, right? when you get to this point, putting your windshield back in, this one wasn't too much of an issue, but the last time I put it back together, I just about lost the windshield. I had the sled and box of the truck, right? I didn't put a cover over it and just about lost the windshield. And I noticed that when I had removed the windshield and put it back in, these rubber grommets actually pushed in, and I lost them inside here, and they're not very easy to get to. I had to pull the whole hood off just to find them. They actually pushed in and I never noticed. So what I did is I just lifted the edge up once I got them back in, just like so. And I just mixed up some epoxy and just put a little dab just on this side and that side. A bit on this side, you can see the residue. Just a dab, just so it holds in place. So now when I push the windshield in, these grommets don't want to go in. They stay put. And if ever I had to remove them, I can still do that. There's just a little bit of epoxy there, just to hold them in place. Just an idea. You don't run into the same issue I did. So there you go. If you're going to be doing an oil change, like I say, removing that hood, the whole front is a better option. Pretty easy, actually. Especially after you do it once. She's nothing to it. There's quite a few questions on this box that I built as far as dimensions. So right from the outside of the box to here, well, 24 7/8. You could almost go 25. The only thing is that I built it tapered, so at the back is 22 7/8. And it's tapered so that when I put it in, I slid it back, and I didn't want it all the way back. The reason for that is I want this as a grab handle. I want something to grab onto if I gotta lift it or do whatever. So I wanted it tight all the way here. So I put the box down and slid it back. But I also cut these little notches right out of the, just a little bit here out of the plywood, just for the bar here. And it allows it to slide right in. Just nice and snug. You can probably see it better from there. Gives it that nice snug fit, right? The lid is cut to the same dimension as this here, the outside. And then when I put this here, it didn't really want to close. It was awful tight. But I just sanded the edge just a little bit. Just rounded it off here. You can see how it's sanded, right? So now when that lip comes down here, it just creates that nice seal. Keeps all the snow out. Chainsaw bracket worked out good. That's just that loop strap that I put on here for my gun case. My gun case slid right in there, as you've seen it in the other videos. And then I just had two small straps. These guys here. This little tensioning straps. I just had two of them. One right there and one closer to the end for my soft gun case. You could use a hard case too. But anyways, that's my setup.